Chapter 9, Section 2. So in Section 1, we talked about the Minoan civilization, and this time we're going to talk about the Mycenaean civilization. So the Mycenaean civilization, um, around the year 2000 BC, they're going to come from the grasslands of southern Russia. As they move down, they eventually settle in Greece. Um, the kings of the Mycenaeans are going to build fortress palaces on the hilltops. People from the village, if they were attacked, this is where they could come to hide. Um, these fortress palaces had a megaron, which was a square room with a fireplace in the center, and the king would hold meetings here or he would entertain guests here. Um, the land was divided into estates, and the land would either be farmed by slaves or the land would be farmed by tenants. These were people who lived on and worked on the land even though they didn't own it. They live and work on somebody else's land. They're a tenant. The king would be given gifts in exchange for his protection. Um, there were large herds of cattle, but to get enough meat, they still had to hunt as well. And they would hunt, rabbit and deer and boar, wild bulls, game birds. Um, they would they would chase after game in chariots, and women would ride with the men during the hunt. Um, they used greyhounds to hunt bigger game. Greyhounds are known for their speed. They would use nets to capture the game. They would kill the game with spears or slings or bow and arrows. The the Minoans um, were known to have visited the Mycenaeans in Greece, and so um, the Mycenaeans copied Minoan gold and bronze work. They adapted Minoan writing into their own. They copied Minoan fashion, learned to build ships and to navigate the seas. The Mycenaeans begin to grow olives, and they would actually make presses to squeeze the olives for their oil. And they use this oil for cooking, for fuel, for their lamps, moisturizers. They would sell large clay jars of just plain olive oil. They sold perfumed oil in these painted vases. They're really going to grow rich from the sale of this olive oil. But at heart, the Mycenaeans were warriors. At heart, they were warriors. They used large shields. They fought with spears and swords. The leaders would wear fancy bronze armor. They fought each other at first. Different Mycenaean groups would fight each other, but after they learned shipbuilding and how to navigate the seas, they would build pirate fleets that would go raid other lands. By 1400 BC, the Mycenaeans are going to replace the Minoans as the chief power in the Aegean world. It's the Aegean world because that's the Aegean Sea down there. This brings us to the Trojan War. In the middle 1200s BC, the Mycenaeans are going to attack Troy. Troy was a major trading city in Asia Minor. They controlled the trade routes to the Black Sea. They would put taxes on ships that were carrying grain and gold from Russia to these Greek lands. Okay, and so you can see here, if you're going to go up there into the Black Sea, you're going to have to go by Troy. Okay, so they would put a tax on anything going from there down to the Greek lands. A blind Greek poet by the name of Homer, 500 years after the Trojan War, is going to write about the events of the Trojan War. And his poem, The Iliad, was about the Trojan War. And he also wrote the Odyssey. And the Odyssey is going to tell about the wanderings of Odysseus. Odysseus was a Mycenaean hero during the Trojan War. And material from songs and legends had been handed down about these events for generations by word of mouth. And Homer's going to add his own descriptions and details of everyday life and turn them into this story. So, according to Homer's Iliad, here's how the Trojan War goes down. The war is going to be fought over a woman. The king of Troy has a son named Paris. Paris is going to fall in love with Helen. Helen was the wife of the Mycenaean king, supposedly the most beautiful woman in the world. Paris is going to take Helen to Troy. So Paris goes, gets Helen, and takes her back to Troy. Helen's husband, the Mycenaean king, becomes angry, obviously, and he is going to form an army, and he's going to sail after him. But the walls of Troy were too thick and too tall and too strong, and the Mycenaeans basically couldn't make it through the walls, and they end up camping outside the walls of the city of Troy. And for 10 years, there's going to be fighting here. For 10 years, there's going to be fighting, but they do not make it into Troy, and they cannot take Troy. That is until Odysseus suggests a way that maybe they could get into the walls. And so Odysseus is going to have a huge hollow wooden horse built. And the best soldiers will hide inside the horse, and the other soldiers will get on a ship and they will sail home. And when the Trojans see the ships leave, they think they won. And so they pull this horse inside the city as a victory prize. And then at night, the soldiers come out and they open the city gates. And the Mycenaean army in the middle of the night has come back, and they let in the Mycenaean army. The Trojan king is killed. Troy is burned, and the Mycenaean army returned home with Helen. That's according to the Iliad. And let's take a look here with the Trojan horse.
What is this? An offering to Poseidon. The Greeks are praying for a safe return home.
I hope the sea god spits in their offering. Lets them all drown at the bottom of the sea.
This is a gift. We should take it to the temple of Poseidon.
I think we should burn it.
Burn it, my prince. It's a gift to the gods.
Father,
Burn it.
So that's supposedly how that went down. Now, so the Mycenaeans win. Troy's burned. But the Mycenaeans, when they come back home, they don't return to a peaceful life. Back at home, a lot of civil wars are going to start breaking out. Wars between opposing groups of citizens, these civil wars. And within about 100 years, there's almost no Mycenaean fortress palaces left at all. So as they have weakened themselves, the Dorians are going to enter Greece. The Dorians enter Greece and they defeat the Mycenaeans. The Dorians had iron swords, and those iron swords were stronger. The Mycenaeans are going to have to flee to all of these islands and to the western shore of Asia Minor there. And their settlements are going to become known as Ionia. So you're going to now enter a period of the Dark Ages in Greece. The Dark Ages in Greece are going to last until around 800 BC. The Dark Ages in Greece were a time of wandering and killing. Overseas trading stops. The Aegean people forget how to write and keep records. No more fresco paintings. Ivory and gold work stops. I mean, basically, they're cut off from the Middle East. The people are going to have to start all over. Herding and farming becomes the main way of life again. You have local leaders ruling small areas. They call themselves kings, but really they were only chiefs. Borders at first change around a lot, but eventually kind of become fixed. And each little area kind of becomes their own independent community. And the people begin to call themselves the Hellenes or Greeks. And they work hard to redevelop their culture and learn new crafts and skills. And a new civilization is going to form here with the Hellenes or the Greeks. And it's going to last from 700 BC to 336 BC.